Hi, Emily here, and welcome to Chair Yoga. So today you're going to need your chair. That's it, nothing else. A chair without sides, preferably. I'll turn mine so that you can see, but you can set up facing me. Go ahead and find a comfortable seat, preferably your ankles below your knees, your shoulders stacked over your hips. So sit as far forward as you need to on your chair. And the hands can relax in the lap. We're going to start with a little bit of an orientation meditation. So instead of closing the eyes today, just go ahead and find your nice, tall, comfortable seat. See if you can take some of the rounding and leaning back out of the body and a little tilt of the pelvis forward. Start to press the feet down, the hips down to lift the spine up even taller. You might even take your hands to the back of the neck and find the ridge of the skull. And maybe you lightly, just using the fingertips to cup around that ridge on either side. Maybe you find a little traction and the neck gets a little taller. And then when you're ready, the hands can relax back down in the lap and find something in front of you. Can be anything to bring your attention to your gaze. And see if you can really focus on that one spot. And take a couple of breaths here, really channeling in, really letting the eye be steady. Try not to squint. Can you soften the skin around the eyes? Take a couple more breaths here, letting the eyes focus. The internal attention can be on the breath, breathing in and breathing out. Continue to look at that one spot. And then slowly look a couple of inches to the left, back to your spot, a couple of inches to the right, back to your spot, a couple inches above your spot, back to your spot, and a couple of inches below your spot. And then back to the center. And take another big breath there. And without moving the body, keep pretty still. Just go ahead and look around as far as you can see with your eyes, moving pretty slowly. Just take a little look. See if you can really soak in the colors, the textures. Maybe noticing something you hadn't noticed. Try not to judge, good or bad, whatever you're finding, just like we do when we take this internal gaze with our eyes closed, looking at our internal landscape. Here you might see piles of things around your space, still continuing to be pretty still. Maybe you see those piles and you think about needing to clean up. Can you just let that go for a moment, just looking? And then bring your attention back to that one spot again. Take another breath there. And for just a couple of breaths, let the eyes soften even further or close the eyes. What does it feel like now to be a little more familiar with the space you're in visually? And then open your eyes, find your spot, gaze there for a couple of breaths. And then look over your left shoulder and you can let the neck move, also let the hips move. So start to look over the left, whatever feels right with the hands, as much as feels okay to turn the neck, twisting the hips on the seat of the chair. Maybe you take your right hand to the left leg, gazing over the left shoulder, and take a look around. Once you've gazed over the left shoulder, really slowly and methodically, take in what you see here now in the room, in your space. No strain or struggle in the shoulders. into this twist, as big or as small as feels okay. Take another little moment looking around. And then slowly come all the way back to the center. Find a spot in the center. Find your gaze again, right out in front. And then take a look over your right shoulder. So start to rotate around the spine. Let the hip shift as well to follow the neck move. And then pause once you've found your gentle twist, checking in that the shoulders are relaxed, and take a look around. What can you now see over the right side, the right shoulder? You probably can now see all the way around you, all the way to the left, all the way to the right. And then make your way back to the center. Find your spot to focus on right out in front with your eyes. You might take the hands to the seat of the chair as you now start to let the eyes travel up to the ceiling. And maybe you lightly press down into the seat of the chair. Maybe you lift the center of the heart lightly up. We're not doing too big of a movement or a back bend, but see what it looks like up on the ceiling. Take your gaze around, take a look. You could move the neck a little bit here as well. Just be careful that you're not dropping the weight of the head back behind the shoulders. If you find that you are, you could take a hand or two behind the head to help hold the head. And also now as you begin to look back out in front of you to help bring the head back up to center so you're not having to strain the muscles on the back of the neck. And back in the center, take your gaze out in front and find that single spot. And then start to take the gaze down to the ground. So let the chin drop a little into the chest, and then maybe you twist the neck just a little bit as you look around on the floor. Maybe you even turn the shoulders and the hips a little one side. And looking over the other direction just slightly. And then slowly bringing the head, the chest back to center. Bring the gaze back upright. Find your nice, tall, comfortable seat again. Press into the feet, press into the hips. Lift the crown of the head up nice and tall. Find your spot out in front. Take a moment there with the eyes open. And then close the eyes again. You've looked all the way around the room now. Over the left shoulder, over the right shoulder, up, down. How does it feel? Can you be open to a little bit more of a sense of grounding, of settling, of being aware of your surroundings? Hopefully feeling a little more sure or safe. And that light little gentle movement can help to integrate that into the body. Maybe there's a feeling of just a little heaviness. These are just suggestions, so notice what's here for you. Nice. And when you're ready, slowly open the eyes again. We'll get some movement up and down the spine now. You might bring the hands out in front. You might also keep the hands on the legs as you exhale, round the spine, curl in, our cat motion. The hands might come on the front of the knees. You could be reaching them out in front of you. It doesn't matter, whichever one feels like the better one for you. And as you inhale, tilt the pelvis forward, the belly button coming towards the knees. Roll the shoulders back. The elbows might draw back behind you. You could also wing the arms back behind you. And then exhale, find your shape, curling in. Inhale, open up, sit up tall, reach back. Do that several more times on your own. Any pace, you could go a little faster or slower. Exhale, round. Inhale, open. Maybe the gaze goes up. Exhale, the gaze can go down. Inhale, looking out. Arching the back. Exhale, rounding the back, the gaze going in, maybe even looking at your belly button, the chest. One more round like this, opening up, curling in. Last time, opening up like this for right now, and then settle back into the center. Nice. I'm going to turn just so I'm facing this direction, and inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. Exhale, bring the hands down through the midline, the palms meet. Inhale, sweep out, palms face up, reach up overhead, the palms meet, the fingertips meet. Exhale, hands down through the middle. Once more, just like that. Inhale, really reach the fingers out to the side, get a stretch even through the forearms. Reach the fingers up as they meet at the top, and exhale, hands down. We'll reach up again and twist this time. So inhale, reaching the fingers out to the side, reach them up overhead, and exhale, start to turn from the back of the shoulders over towards the right. Turn towards the right, a little light engagement in the belly. You're lightly drawing the belly button towards the knees. And then you can take the right hand back behind you. Maybe it hooks around the edge of the chair or the back of the chair. The left hand can go outside the right leg, the back of the hand resting somewhere there. A little bit of leverage to turn from the bottom part of the shoulder blades. So turn the bottom part of the left shoulder blade more towards the right knee. The bottom part of the right shoulder blade is trying to go back to the opposite side of the chair behind you. And you might take then the gaze back and over the right shoulder. Take a couple breaths there. Inhale, press down into the feet, maybe shift the weight over so it's even on the left seat. And exhale, turn the rib cage, turn the neck. Let the shoulders drop down away from the ears. Take another breath here. And exhale. And keep the twist of the chest, the shoulders, but turn the head back to look towards your knees. Turn the head back and then maybe let the chin fall over towards your left shoulder. Especially if you're holding back somewhere on the chair with the right hand, you might be getting a nice stretch actually through the right side of the neck. Maybe let the forehead drop down towards the shoulder, looking down at your knees. Take another breath here. Lift the forehead, lift the chin, and then slowly let the chin and the chest come back to center. Pause there. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Reach up, get nice and tall, maybe even wiggle a little, and exhale, turn over towards the left. Pause there. Feel this engagement in the abdomen helping you to turn. And when you're ready, the left hand coming back, holding maybe somewhere on the chair or hooking on with the elbow, the right hand, back fingernail side coming to the outside of the left leg. Press firmly down into the feet, grow a little taller. Exhale, turn the bottom of the right shoulder blade towards your left knee. Lots of engagement here on the sides of the abdomen to help. Maybe you'll turn back and look over the shoulder. Turning the neck. Couple of breaths, let the shoulders soften. Is there weight even between the right and left seat? Might press the right foot down a little more. Maybe you turn the head a little more. Maybe the bottom of the shoulder blades twist. Couple breaths here. Stay in the twist with the shoulders and chest turning, and turn the gaze back. Look out in front, look down to the knees. Maybe let your chin come down to the shoulder, even letting the forehead act like it's going to drop and rest on the shoulder. One more breath there. Lifting the chin, lifting the forehead. Slowly let the chest, the belly come back to center. Pause there. So we've done our twist now. One a little more gently, one a little bit more deliberate. Check in, notice how it feels. Nice. And then you can either take the base of the thumb behind the head, or you could interlace the fingers. You're going to look for the ridge of the skull again. So moving my hair out of the way, this part right where the neck meets up with the skull, there's that nice ridge all around. You can either kind of scoop your base of your thumb there. You might interlace the fingers. And with that spot, I'm going to turn just a little to the side here. Sit up nice and tall. And then give a little bit of the weight of the head back into the hands, into the base of the thumbs. And then using the strength of the arms, maybe you start to just very lightly add some traction up. So just lightly pulling. You're doing this to yourself, so you can decide how much or how little. Maybe it's just this little extra weight of the head into the hands, so there's just less weight being supported by the neck. Maybe there's this traction helping to create a little bit more space between the vertebrae. And you might be really trying to open the elbows up to the sides as well. And you're not just trying to push the elbows back behind you, which would pinch the shoulder blades. You actually want to draw the elbows out in either direction. So take a couple more breaths like this. You want to get expansive all the way around the rib cage. Spread the shoulder blades. Spread the elbows, spread the collarbones, lengthen the neck up, creating space everywhere, finding somewhere to gaze with the eyes. You could even close the eyes. Nice. Take another breath there. Keep as much traction pulling the head up high as you'd like. On your exhale, let the right elbow start to dip down towards the ground, the left elbow reaching up to the sky. And so the elbows are continuing to go out in opposite directions. You add as much of this side bend as you want. The left ribs really pushing out to the left side. Some people will even add just a little bit of a twist, the right side of the chest maybe looking up to the sky, and the left elbow dropping a little bit back behind them towards the back of the chair. That'll get actually a nice stretch here in the front side of the left chest if you're adding that little gentle twist. And the head, the weight falling back into the hands. Gaze might be moving up towards the ceiling. Another breath there. Your next inhale, press into the feet, bring the head and shoulders upright, and exhale, dip over to the side. If you need to unclasp the hands for a moment, maybe move so the fingertips are on the side, you can do that. Left elbow dropping down, right elbow drawing up, and a light twist of the chest if you'd like that, letting the right elbow fall back behind, the gaze come even more up to the sky. Press down into the right foot. Let the right side of the ribs move over to the side, pressing them out. Create a little more space there. Nice. Inhale, come back up to center. Reach the arms up and overhead. Make fists with the hands. Give the wrists a roll in one direction. The tighter you squeeze the fist, it might feel kind of extra nice. And even a little tension in the fingers. And then pause and go the other direction. And then take the hands up, fingers up, and wiggle the fingers. Really articulate each joint. Even add a little roll of the wrist as you articulate in one direction and the other. And then just start to shake the hands and bring the hands back down. Nice. Give the shoulders a nice roll, rolling them back. Maybe you start to alternate, do our little backwards roll of the shoulders, this opening across the chest. If you've practiced with me for this chair yoga, you know this is one of my favorite things to do. Just get some mobility in the shoulders. You can start to pick up the elbows, drawing them back behind you, get some blood flowing. And if you're really turning the chest here, making this asymmetrical motion, you're going to be getting a nice stretch actually into the sides here. Nice. So just another little bit. And then we'll give the shoulders a little break. We'll We'll do some of our favorites here for the legs. Actually, I think we might have skipped our figure 4 stretch last week, so we'll get that. Start to make these circles a little bit smaller. Might be nice to take a big sigh out of the mouth. And then maybe the hands come back to the legs. You slide up and down for a moment, and then you pause. Pause and notice, see if there's any more blood flow, energy in the arms. And we'll go ahead and get some energy flowing into the hips and the legs. You can shift the weight over and pick up the right knee. You can hold on, draw it up into the chest. If you need to lean back on the chair a little bit, you can. Might pulse it up and down. Might start to make those big circles with the knee in one direction. Taking the knee out as wide as you like. And then coming around the other direction. Still trying to press into the left foot and press into the seat, lifting the belly button towards the left knee, sitting up tall. And pause in the center, give your ankle a roll, just like we did with the wrists, one direction, then the other, letting maybe the toes crunch together a little bit. And then we'll take the ankle across the thigh for the figure 4 stretch, letting the right knee start to fall out towards the side. This might be a really nice spot to stay. You might take the left hand behind you, letting the belly button come towards the shin, arching the back a little bit, just like we were doing very beginning. Maybe you want to rock a little side to side here. You might start to rock a little side to side. And I didn't say it, but if you ever want to add anything for some nice padding between the ankle and thigh, that can be really nice. And then start to fold over the legs any amount. Maybe that looks like staying here with the palm of the hand on the lap, maybe the forearm. Maybe you start to drape the arms over the legs, folding over. Any little sighs, any small movements you'd like. If you haven't done this in a little while, it might feel a little more intense than you remember. If it feels okay, you can really let the chin fall into the chest, let the head be heavy now down towards the ground. Couple more breaths here. If the arms were down towards the ground, bring them back up to the lap. We're going to keep the shape of the legs for just a little bit longer. You're going to take your left hand somewhere on the right leg. Maybe it's kind of right on the thigh, below or above the knee, I guess. And then start to lean the chest over towards the foot. So leaning over towards the foot, just a little light pressure down of the hands on the thigh. You can either stay right here, leaning the chest over towards the right foot will start to get you a little bit more stretch, probably through the right side of the low back, the right side. If you want a little bit more, you could even take this hand up and overhead, the palm facing down, stretching out diagonally in front of you, reaching over a little bit to your left side. And the more you let the right shoulder drop down towards the ground, turning the gaze and the right shoulder towards the foot, the more stretch you might get. And just being gentle here with whatever you're feeling, backing off if you need to. If you were reaching the hand out, bring it back to the legs. Go ahead and find your way up. And then before we take the cross of the legs off, take your hand to the top of the foot and just give yourself a nice stretch. You might then rotate the leg or the ankle a little bit. We can get some good stretch with just the strength of pointing the toes, but here you're using the hands to help with that. Go ahead and sit up, squeeze the right knee into the chest, bring it back down to the ground. We're going to find that on the other side. So maybe the right hand, some support on the chair as you bring the left knee up, give it a nice squeeze in to start. Can you really lift and engage the back, the core, to lift the center of the belly towards the knee and then start to make these circles? any size, any pace. And go the other direction. Nice. Make your way back to the center. Give your rolls of the ankles, scrunch and point at the toes one way, the other way. And just be aware of how you're moving the eyes around as we do these. As much as you can, trying to just listen to the sound of my voice. And as we find the ankle across the right thigh, finding your figure four shape, especially if you're familiar with some of these movements, finding somewhere in the room maybe to take the gaze, find that steady spot to focus on. You can start to use the left hand to really press the thigh, the knee away from you. Maybe you're adding this little rocking inside to side. You're lifting the belly button towards the shin. And then maybe you're starting to fold over the legs, any amount, really keeping the shoulders and the heart lifted and open. And you can move the gaze and find a new spot as you start to fold over. Trying to keep the movement of the eyes pretty steady and calm, just like the movements of the body. We're trying not to jerk the body around into any of these shapes. We're trying to keep the eyes from rapidly moving around. And maybe you're choosing to stay folded with the forearms on the leg, or you're draping the hands down towards the ground. And the reason we're keeping the movement of the eyes pretty steady is because it has a calming effect on the body. And just like I would often say when we're balancing to find somewhere steady to gaze that helps you to be physically steady, it's true even when we're not balancing. That rapid movement can cause a chain reaction of rapid thoughts, and a slow steadiness of the eyes can cause a reaction of the thoughts to be more steady. So take a couple of breaths here, letting the eyes rest somewhere. Let the head maybe be a little heavier down towards the ground. The back ridge of the skull moving away from the shoulders, wherever the head is. And you could start to walk the hands back up to the left lap if they were somewhere else. The right hand can find somewhere on the left leg to rest as you start to lean the chest over towards the left foot. Leaning over towards the left foot, really towards both feet. Maybe you press a little bit more down to root the left seat, the left thigh. Maybe you take the left arm up and overhead, reaching at a diagonal over towards your right side, out in front of you, the palm down. And then maybe you let the left side of the chest angle down more towards the feet. And you can be doing this anyway, sitting up a little more upright, even folded in more. Looking for a little bit of a side stretch, a little twist to go with our figure four stretch. Another breath here. The hand was reaching up overhead. Bring it back to the lap. Bring the chest to center. Come to sit up. Keep the figure four shape. Take your hand to the top of the foot. Just help to stretch the front of the ankle. And maybe there's a little movement of the toes going down towards the ground and up. Getting a little side to side movement as well. If you want to do any extra pulling on the toes as well, feel free. And come back to center, help the knee come up. You might lean back just a little bit as you bring the foot down. We're going to take the feet out pretty wide, and you might scoot a little forward on your chair Just let the knees fall from side to side. Hands can come back behind you if that makes it a little bit easier. And we're going to find our goddess shape. And you could do this seated, the feet coming out probably wider than the seat of your chair, the toes angling out, and sitting up nice and upright, still continuing to let the belly scoop a little bit forward. If you want to come to standing, you're making your way up to standing, and you're finding that same distance about between the feet, a little bit wider than hips distance, and you're just bending the knees enough that you're kind of letting the hips drop down to a point where it's kind of natural to bounce. You're trying not to stick the seat back too far. You're trying not to tuck it too far in, letting the hips point forward. And at any point, if you decide that you'd prefer to find your way to seated, you can do that. We're going to stay there for a little bit. And even if you're seated, you're pressing the feet down into the ground. You're engaging the glutes underneath you. Reach the arms up and overhead. Reach them up just for a moment to get nice and long. And then keep the left hand reaching up. Take the right hand and scoop it underneath your belly, the palm up. And then the left hand on top is going to frame the top of the head in a semicircle. So you've kind of making this circle around the head, around the lower abdomen, kind of wherever it kind of lands with the length of your arms. You're going to take a nice big inhale here, pressing into the feet, getting tall. And then exhale and bring the hands the other way. Take a nice big inhale here. Exhale, sweep the arms out. Switch their position. Take an inhale. Exhale. Roll around the other way. Find somewhere to steady, to focus, and then you move at your own pace here. Right, exhale, switch. If you're up especially and you need a little bouncing or side to side, if you want a little more in your standing squat, lifting the toes. Exhale, changing the arms. Do one more. Have to even out. Getting into the hips now and the arms. And then exhale. So if you're standing, you can go ahead and bring both hands to the legs. You'll slowly, if you're right in front of your seat, sit back. Nice. And we're going to find our lunge off to the right side. And you'll have an option to come standing. But go ahead and start by having the right ankle underneath the right knee. Sneak the left leg back behind you. And maybe you're just really pressing the left heel back behind you. You're pressing in to the right heel to bring the torso a little bit more upright. If you need to adjust the distance of the feet, maybe to be the same distance as your hips or even wider, do that. Can you lift from the inner left thigh as you kick the left heel back? And any soft bend you'd like in the heel. And then from here, it'll take a little bit more work, which is why we came back seated. If you want to start to press up, you're starting to press into the feet and hovering off the seat of the chair and adjusting the feet as you feel necessary. If you want, you bring the hands behind the head, cupping the ridge, growing a little taller, elbows drawing out to either side, and maybe letting the weight of the head fall back into the hands. We did a similar movement, I think, last week with the support of a block behind the head. So find this here. Find the strength of the feet rooting down into the ground, lifting up. Maybe adding this little back bend. Nice. Go ahead and let the head come back right over the shoulders if it was there. Bring the hands to the hips, and you're going to turn your chest to face more of the right knee. So you'll be turning away from me, so you might just take a look for a moment. You're going to find this twist. Maybe you reach the hands out wide, trying to reach the right fingertips back behind you, the left fingertips in front. Some people will even actually lean over the right leg just a little bit, maybe even placing their forearm on the leg. So you're finding a twist here. If you're hovering off the seat of the chair, this will be pretty challenging balance. You're continuing to try to roll the back of the right shoulder back behind you. The left bottom of the shoulders trying to travel towards the right knee. Whether you're leaning a little forward and resting on the leg for a little leverage or staying up tall, you're picking which one is feeling right, especially for your neck and your shoulders, and maybe you're gazing back over the right fingertips. Hands could be on the leg somewhere. Maybe you're gazing over the right shoulder. Take another breath or two here. And then start to, if you were leaning forward, bring the torso upright, the chest back to the center. We'll come back to center, lowering back to the seat of the chair if you hadn't. Pause there for just a moment. Find neutral. Find somewhere steady to gaze with the eyes. Find the steadiness of your breath. And then we'll head off the other direction. Left foot outside the left side of the chair. Ankle pretty much underneath the knee, sneaking the right foot back, changing the distance between, pressing in to the left heel to bring the shoulders over the hips, drawing the belly away from the thigh, pressing back through the right heel, lifting the right inner thigh, maybe pressing into the feet so much you hover, but never required. If you want to bring the hands behind the head again, finding the ridge of the skull, start to lengthen the head away from the shoulders, letting the shoulders melt down, be heavy, elbows out to either side. Maybe the head falls back into the hands. Several breaths here. Any soft bend you want in the right knee instead is great. Gaze steady wherever you are. If the head is falling back in behind you, bring it back up. Hands can come to the hips. You can start to turn the bottom of the right shoulder blade towards the left knee. The bottom of the left shoulder blade back behind you, pretty much heading towards the right heel. Maybe you stay upright, hands on the hips. Maybe the hands wing out and you gaze back towards your left fingers. If you want a little bit more stretch kind of through the front of the right hip, you can lean forward, draw the left hip back, and find somewhere to rest the forearm, the hand on the left leg, maybe still continuing to reach the left hand back behind you. Steady gaze, steady focus, a couple of breaths here. If it feels better for you not to twist the neck, then don't do it. If you were reaching a little forward with the chest, bring the torso upright, chest back over the left knee, and make your way back to center. And just take the legs out long in front of you, sit on the edge of the chair. You can bend one knee then the other. You can let the toes wash in and out to either side. A little bit of like a freeing motion here. You could pick up one foot, kind of just let the foot kick out without too much forcing of the kicking. It's almost like a little swinging action. Place that foot down, let the other one, you kind of give it a kick to start and then it just kind of does its own thing eventually, settling a little bit more back into the center. Nice, we'll come back over off the side and we'll find our warrior two type shape. So maybe you stay seated. Maybe you find this standing with the left toes, or right toes off to the right, the left heel maybe a little bit further back so the toes point in, and you have a deep bend of the right knee, and then you're trying to turn the rib cage away from the right knee. So there's a little bit of a twisting action here. Nice, you could stay right here. Maybe you take the hands out long, gaze over the right fingertips, and you can be doing all of this from your seat, just playing with the angle of the feet here. That's right for your knees especially. You might need to walk the left foot a little bit further away from the chair. Either way, you're trying to lift the arch of the left foot, pressing out through the left heel on that pinky side. And we're going to find our side angle pose. Start to reach the right fingertips forward towards the right knee, past it even more, and then maybe the right forearm comes to the thigh. The left hand could come to rest on the hip. You're turning the backside of the right shoulder blade underneath you. You can even take your hand back there, just like I'm doing as I'm talking about it, and help to scoop it under. If you're hovering off the seat of the chair, your right glute is really engaged. The right seat is trying to come forward as well. And the chest is turning. You might even take the left hand up and overhead, the palm facing down, and it's this one line from the foot all the way up through the side, getting this nice stretch, and the chest is turning away from the right knee. We're going to take another couple of breaths here. Yeah, some of our traditional poses with a little emphasis on that twisting action of the chest. Let the right shoulder roll onto the back. Nice. If the hand was reaching up and overhead, bring it back to the hip. If you wanted to find the chair behind you, if you were hovering off, finding your seat, pressing into the right foot, come all the way up. We'll find a moment in that goddess shape, the hands on the legs. We're going to find our shoulder dip. So you can let one shoulder reach down. If you prefer to do this standing, you're welcome to. Just looking for a nice stretch in the sides of the body here. If you want to go faster or slower, be my guest. Oh, maybe some things pop as you work some things out. And when you're ready and you feel even, finding your way back to center, and we'll do the shape on the other side. The left foot, ankle underneath the right, choosing where you want to place this foot, maybe a little bit further away if you're going to stay seated, or all right away coming up to standing, bending into the left knee, hands right around the bottom of the rib cage, the bottom of the shoulder blades. Start to turn the ribs away from the left knee. Press back through the right outer heel, the pinky side pressing in, the arch lifting, finding your balance if you're standing, and the gaze over the left fingertips. Hands could always be on the hips. You can always make your way to seated instead. A couple of breaths here. And see if even the chin can come right in line with the spine. Nose right over the belly button. Couple of breaths. And the left fingers, reach them forward, forward, forward. Find your side angle. Maybe the forearm to the thigh can always be up a little higher with the palm of the hand on it. Can bring your right hand to the hip. If you want to be standing, you adjust. Start to turn and maybe using the right hand on the bottom, underside of the rib cage, the bottom of the right shoulder spinning up. The gaze can go up. And I didn't say it on the other side, but you might have a tendency to either drop the head or let the head sneak up towards the top shoulder. Can you check that the head is right in line with the rest of the spine? Pressing back through the right pinky edge of the heel, lifting the right arch, reaching out through the right fingers, turning the left side of the chest up, rolling the left shoulder on the back. There's always things to pay attention to. Most importantly, find somewhere to focus, somewhere steady to gaze. Take a couple more breaths. The top hand was reaching, come back and find the hip. Press into the left foot, bring the torso upright. We'll bring the feet out in front, sitting down if you weren't already. And the bottoms of the feet meet this time. And you might need, I don't have one super handy, but you can always pause and you might find something to add a little bit of height underneath the feet. I'll actually reach and grab this. Just a little bit of height. I just was looking down and realized it would feel a little bit more comfortable if I could scoot forward on the chair and really let the knees fall out even more to the sides. And if you prefer to be in more of a goddess shape, in that squat shape, you could be doing that instead. But this is what we call our Baddha Konasana, or bound angle pose. It's like what if you were seated down on the ground, it'd be a butterfly shape. The hands could rest lightly on the inner thighs, letting the knees fall out to the sides. You're continuing as always to lift the middle of the spine up and forward, opening across the shoulders. Find somewhere steady to be for a moment. You may open the mouth and move the jaw around even. And then you might add a little bit of a fold here. So maybe you start to let the back round, letting the back round, but instead of letting the back round towards the back side of the chair, so my chest and my chin are coming further away from the knees, you're letting it round as much as you can, the chin heading towards the feet. And maybe that means you don't go very far. Maybe it means you slide the hands so the forearms are resting on the legs. Maybe you even slide the hands down on the shins. Maybe as you come forward, you feel a little more stable to scoot the seat back. Maybe the hands come down to your support of the prop underneath the feet if you found one. Take a couple of breaths there, rounding in. Any amount. And then slowly, if you are rounding pretty far forward, walking the hands carefully up the legs, make your way all the way up. And then the hands come to the outside of the legs to help bring the knees back to the center. And you might move what was under the feet a little out of the way and come over onto the left side of your chair. And you can have the right hand on the right edge of the chair. As you kind of lean over, you're going to see if it's okay. And maybe you just sneak the left foot back behind you so the knees dropping down towards the ground. And as it drops towards the ground, you might let the hip fall down towards the ground as well. That could be a nice stretch, and then you could reach the arm up and overhead. If it feels like a nice stretch and okay for you to pick up the knee, you'll kind of hug the knee a little bit into the chest with it bent and hold on. I suggest if you can hold on to the ankle or the shin instead of the foot, just to so you don't kind of turn the foot or the ankle in a funny direction. You might then let the knee start to fall down towards the ground, and you can still be leaning over quite a lot to the right hand. You start to really try to draw the front of the kneecap down towards the ground, maybe lightly kicking the foot into the hand to open up the front of the shoulder. And you can lean quite a lot over into the right hand, almost turning this into a little balancing on the side. Anywhere you want to be here, getting a stretch through the front of the quad. Couple of breaths here. And I'm continuing to draw my belly button forward, lifting the center of the chest up, checking in that my ears aren't leaning towards one shoulder. Instead, keeping them in line with the rest of the spine, even though there's a little bit of a bend from side to side here. Nice. Another breath here. And to come out of it, you might soften the kick of the foot into the hand, bringing the knee a little into the chest, a little rounding of the back as you place the foot down. and we'll sneak over to the other side. So shift your weight over. The left seat right on the edge of the chair. The left hand off of the left side of the chair, leaning over, and maybe the foot even stays on the ground here, just letting that front top of the kneecap fall down towards the ground. You can even reach the arm up and overhead here, or hug the knee up towards the chest, slide the hand down towards the shin, the ankle, hold on to the pant leg even a little bit, making sure that the left foot's pretty firmly planted. So you can push into that foot so you're not dropping too much into the left hip. And you're opening up here, drawing the knee away from the shoulder. My foot kind of just found the back of the chair on this side. So now I've got my toes pressed up against the back of the chair. A little bit of extra to help me draw the knee and the length on the front of the hip. Let me kind of steal my hand away too. Check in. The head isn't falling down towards the left shoulder or reaching too far up towards the right shoulder. Another breath. Steady gaze. And as much as you need to lean, sitting up, hugging the knee in, letting the foot come down towards the ground. And we'll make our way back to the center of the chair. Find your way to the center of the chair, and you can scoot a little forward. Hands can come a little bit behind you. We're going to do something that helps to release the psoas muscle. So the psoas muscle connects the trunk, the torso, to the lower legs. And it's a really big muscle. And it's a muscle that often contracts when we're stressed, we're afraid. It's often doing work most of the day because we do so much hip flexion of pulling the legs up and into the body. So we're going to give it a chance to release. So you can lean back as much as you want into the back of the chair. Maybe you take something onto the chair to add a little bit of height. You could come up onto the knuckles if that feels a little bit better, or the fingertips on the wrists. And go ahead and take your right leg or left leg and take the toes up and reach the heel out. So now the left leg is pretty long. Let the left toes fall out to the side. And then keeping the toes out to the side, draw the heel back in towards your seat. So the knee's out to the side, just like we did. And now you draw the knee back up to the center, like we did when we did our Baddha Konasana. So we're going to do that several times. So kicking the left heel out, the toes up, the leg is long. Toes fall out to the side. Draw the heel up towards your seat. Knees out to the side, and then the bottom of the foot finds the ground. So add some breath here. Inhale, leg is long. Exhale, toes fall out to the side. Inhale, draw the heel up and in. Exhale, the knee to the center, the bottom of the foot down. Inhale, leg long. Maybe you're gazing down at your foot. Exhale, toes out to the side. Inhale, drawing in. Exhale, bottom of the foot plants. Inhale, leg long. Exhale, toes out. Inhale, heel draws up. Exhale, bottom of the foot down. Inhale, leg long. Exhale, toes fall out. Inhale, heel draws up. Exhale, bottom of the foot plants. You can continue in that direction, or you might go the opposite direction. Letting the knee fall out, letting the heel sneak away. Toes lift, come to center, and drawing the heel back in. And you can choose your own, whichever direction you'd prefer to do this a couple more times. I always prefer to go out and around, but it's up to you. If you forget how to move with the breath, it's really not a big deal. Just move slowly, carefully. Use long, deep breaths, a steady gaze to add a calming effect to this movement. And whenever you feel ready, Let the foot plant down on the ground. Go ahead and sit up tall. Take the weight off of the hands. If you need to give the wrists a roll, you can. You might even close the eyes. And maybe there's nothing readily different between the right and the left. Maybe there's just something really subtle, or even more than subtle, happening on the left side of the body. Is there a possibility for that? Whatever it is, whatever it isn't, notice. And then since you know where we're heading, maybe you even keep the eyes closed as you bring the hands back behind you. And inhale, the right heel goes away from the body, the toes lift. Exhale, the toes fall out to the side. Inhale, the heel back up towards the chair. Exhale, the whole bottom of the foot plants. Inhale, right leg long, toes lift. Exhale, toes fall out to the side. The whole leg rotates. Inhale, drawing the heel towards the seat. Exhale, knee to center. Inhale, leg long. Exhale, toes fall out. Inhale, draw the heel in. And exhale, bottom of the foot plants. Maybe you try the opposite direction. The knee falls out. The heel goes long. Toes point up. And the heel draws in. Whichever direction you want to go for several more rounds. Steady gaze. Steady movements. Another round or two, depending on your pace. And when you're very ready, lifting the weight off of the hands, adjusting, find your comfortable seat. And the hands could rest in the lap. You can give them a little roll. Maybe the eyes close and you're checking in with anything that might be here now on the right side. Maybe something that's not there, some tension that's melted away. Can you let some tension melt away out of the shoulders, the sides of the neck, the jaw, even the eyes? Pausing here for another couple of breaths, noticing. And then we'll take one more gentle movement. You might keep the eyes closed as you inhale, reach the arms out to the sides, up and overhead. Fingertips meet, the palms of the hands can meet. Exhale, the hands down through the center. Hands can find the lap and fold over the legs any amount. Letting the head be heavy and the chin fall into the chest, maybe draping over the legs. You might even take the hands if you're draping forward to find the ridge. A little weight on the back of the head to drop the head down. Take 3 to 5 more breaths here. And if the arms were pretty far down towards the ground or on the back of the head, let them come to the legs. You could keep the eyes closed for another moment as you come to sit all the way up. Find a seat, maybe a little sigh. And bring the hands to heart center. Any shape, the palms could press down, stacking one on top of the other. A moment here to say thank you to yourself, to each other, everyone who might be doing these movements, whether at the same time or a little bit out of sync. Send them your gratitude across this space, maybe even this sense of time. And just see what happens. And then you could slowly start to open the eyes. Find somewhere steady to gaze to start. Take a moment there. And then start to let the eyes roam around, taking in your surroundings again. Making your way back to settle somewhere in the center. And thank you again one more time. I'm Emily. Let me know if you need anything. Be well.